Hello, YouTube. You have caught me at a good time because I'm making myself a celebratory The World Didn't End drink. Mmm. It's wonderful, isn't it? But even with the world not having ended, I'm still a little bit annoyed. See, you may recall Amy Myers. Amy Myers being the 16-year-old who challenged Michelle Bachmann to a debate on the Constitution. She's apparently big in the news, or at least a distraction from the news, which is the kind of thing the modern news wants you to do, but I digress. Let's also leave aside that when I challenge various politicians to debates, or, as the case more often is, pit fights in water-soaked basements in the inner city, I never make the news, but I'm not bitter. And by the way, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, I'm still waiting to hear back on my challenge. You, me, our offhands duct taped together, a switchblade in the other, we don't stop until one of us is bloody and crying for uncle. I digress. No one expected Bachmann to respond to Myers' challenge. I didn't. No one who has any clue on any concept of what's actually happening expected Bachmann to respond to Myers' challenge. There was no good political reason for her to do so. She wins, big shit. She's a federal level politician. She should win. She loses, she lost to a 16-year-old high school student. She pulls her normal be loud and insulting bullshit, now she looks like a bully. There's really no way for her to come out good on that one. Well, no way that, she'd have done. If she was smart, she'd have agreed to meet, but not debate, and have a conversation with her where she praised Myers' interest in the political process, reached under her couch cushion, found $1,000 to throw to a college fund, and come out smelling like roses. But that would have been smart, and as we know, Bachmann and Smart get along about as well as two women from competing whorehouses. The fact that Bachmann has neither accepted nor even commented on the challenge is not surprising to me. Nor is the fact that people on the internet immediately jumped in to proclaim she's a plant, that she's a tool of her parents, being used to spout talking points. Hell, direct quote from the comments section on the story on Outside the Beltway blog. Listening to some 16-year-old plant mindlessly parrot journalist talking points on stage would be terribly boring. Also, what would the point of the debate be for Bachmann? See, I totally expect that kind of shit. As well as, the constant repeat of Obama said 57 states and other such dumb fuckitude. That shit doesn't surprise me. By the way, people, can we let go of the Obama said 57 states? Please, people make slips of the tongue. It fucking happens! I confess, though, I didn't actually expect to find comments like, a woman's place is in the house, between a man and a bed, or to hear local police comment on letters sent to Myers' home and school talking about murder and rape. I don't know why I didn't expect this. Maybe it's my unending optimism and faith in the human race. No, wait, I don't have that. I have the opposite of that. Well, maybe I'm just stupid. In any case, they've totally gotten death threats, and rape threats, and all sorts of other standard misogyny and idiocy. Calling her a whore, calling her a slut, talking about how her place should be in the kitchen. That kind of bullshit. I can't figure out why. Ladies and gentlemen, when exactly did it happen that in this country we hate the idea of political discourse so god fucking much that we try to form a foaming at the mouth crowd of idiots and fuckwankers to shout down and threaten anyone who so much as attempts to call people out on the truth? Because that's all this was. This was an attempt to demand that a leader, somebody helping to make laws that will govern you and me, actually tell the god fucking truth. That's all this fucking was. I mean, good god fuck. It's one thing to have our radio shock jock say over-the-top shit. By the way, Huckabee, you, me, Taipei deathmatch. You bring the athletic tape, I'll bring the shards of glass. It's another thing to begin making threats of rape to a fucking 16-year-old when they rightly call a federal-level politician on their lies. And bullshit, Bachmann hasn't told lies. A quick Google search finds her having campaigned on earmark bans before trying to say, oh, let's redefine transportation projects. Claimed Nancy Pelosi ran up a $100,000 bar tab on Air Force One. Claimed 1 million people were at Beck's rally. Claimed the G20 conference was an attempt to set up a one-world government. Claimed that Planned Parenthood said they wanted to become the LensCrafters of abortion. And that's just 5 seconds on the Google. Freedom of speech is vitally important. I work so hard to speak so often on both my show and any of these videos that I make about how we should all have the right, have the duty to speak the truth and our minds. Freedom of speech allows us to speak out against our leaders when they attempt to drag us into the nether regions of hell where we should not go. But we need to start being a little more fucking responsible with our free speech. We need to realize that when radio shock jocks say over-the-top shit, by the way, Rick Santorum, you, me, boxing ring with barbed wire wrapped around the ropes, that's not something to emulate. And the target matters. We've forgotten how to pick our fucking targets. While we're sitting here trying to fucking dogpile a 16-year-old just trying to take part in the political process, we have actual leaders, actual powerful people in this country, people with millions of dollars, lobbyists who work day and night to sway opinions to line their pockets, working effortlessly, working tirelessly to make our lives shit to better theirs, and we ignore it. We've forgotten that our targets need to be the most powerful amongst us because they're the ones who need to get knocked down a few notches. The most powerful amongst us are the ones who sway opinion the most. They're the ones who take the money and the power for themselves and don't want us to be able to have mastership of our own destinies. The Palins and the Trumps of this world have worked tirelessly to distract us from the actual goddamn problems. By the way, Trump, you, me, circle of cars, first one to leave the circle wins. By whipping ourselves into a frenzy over a 16-year-old trying to take part into our political process, we are playing right into their goddamned hands. This should have been a non-story. It should have been nothing more than a quick blurb on the back page of a local paper. A feel-good story about a local teen who wants to take a bigger part in the world around her. Instead, it's become a focal point of our twisted cesspool of political discourse. It's become a grand example of the stupidity we're able to summon over something small and petty. Instead of dealing with the fact that we are trying to cut funding to a company, to a group, a non-profit organization that actually lowers the amount of abortions needing to happen, that actually lowers the amount of children born to poor people who can't fucking afford them. Instead of dealing with the fact that our politicians are constantly telling us bullshit about how taxes work, about how government money gets spent, instead of dealing with the fact that there's a lot of fucking dumb shit in politics that lie to us, we are sitting here spending our energy on a 16-year-old to threaten her with rape while she's trying to join political discourse. That's what pisses me off the most. Instead of looking at this and going, holy hell, what have we wrought? Our politicians are continuing to do the exact same thing. Which is why I demand that Speaker John Boehner accept my challenge of a fans bring the weapons deathmatch. You, me, and whatever the people who are watching happen to throw into the ring. Until next time, this is the all-powerful Nate Boy saying, if I cannot move heaven, I will raise hell.